Episode 4 of the Third and 10 podcast is live. I'm Nathan Nguyen. Glad to see you guys here again. For those of you who are joining us live again on this Thursday, you may have seen me literally 3 hours ago. And I'll be live again on the Corner Booth podcast in 2 hours. And then I'll be on the NFL draft show, which is at 5 o'clock. So busy day today. For the NFL drafts. But for this episode, I'm not alone because that would be boring and you wouldn't want to stare at me for the entirety of this particular episode or listen to me for the entire episode. This guy, he's been a great friend of mine since elementary school. He is my quarterback. We have spent many hours in the park throwing a ball around. He's the first guy to introduce me to the PlayStation. I'm grateful for him for introducing me to the PlayStation 5. And for the first time in my life, I am caught up when it comes to video games. Of course, sometimes he may insult my giants, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, he's my best friend, big brother to me. Ladies and gentlemen, Casey White, my guy. For those of you who don't know, me and Casey, we go back in terms of the podcasting business. We used to host the Casey and Nate show together. Casey has gone to do bigger and better things with his life, but he does stop by once in a while to give his input, especially when it comes to roasting my Giants and talking about how good the Raiders are. Casey, my guy, it's been a minute, dude, but I'm really glad you're here. How you doing?
I'm doing great, bro. I'm doing great. And honestly, like you said, bigger and better things. That couldn't be further from the truth, man. I really miss doing this with you. And I think that, doing the Colorcast business was honestly one of the best things for me, especially during the pandemic. Really talking about sports with you. I think that definitely helped everyone, kind of get their minds off of everything that was going on. But once like I said before, super glad to be here and ready to get started, man. Let's go.
Me too, brother. I know it's been a minute. A lot of things have changed since we last spoke. As for those of you who don't know, the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl and yada, yada, yada. Niners lost, and I'm sure Casey was happy with that, being a Raiders fan that he is, and our friends, mostly Niners fans in the group chat. So for them to lose the way they did, I'm sure it was devastating to them, but for you, I'm sure you had a blast, at least seeing that. So
it was so fun. Yeah.
But as we're recording this case, it is the NFL draft, a 3-day event. And I guess to start off, for those of you who don't know, Casey's a Raiders fan. He's very in-depth about the silver and black. And they do have some needs to address this year, Case. And, last season was okay. You guys went 8-9. Almost made the playoffs if a couple of games went your way. Antonio Pierce took over as head coach in week 9 of the 2023 season. He did a really good job, including 3-1 record against AFC West opponents when he was named the interim head coach. And now he's the full-time head coach as he was hired officially on January 9th of 2024. All right, Case, I guess simple question for you right here, right now. What do the Raiders need? And who are you targeting in this year's draft?
So honestly, the keys to having a successful draft for, in my eyes for the Raiders, definitely number one would be to pick a quarterback. I think that you need a quarterback. Aiden O'Connell is just not the answer. He had some struggles last year. He showed some signs of brightness, but mostly in my eyes, he showed a little bit, darker sides than lighter ones. And I think that's an issue that the Raiders need to fix and address. I think they need to pick up quarterback within the first 1 to 2 rounds of the draft. Number one, obviously, would be the second best quarterback in the draft, Jaden Daniels. In my eyes, I think that he's better than Drake May. So I think that trading up for him would be probably our best scenario. If we, the only problem with that is we would be trading away a lot of picks. First round picks, second round picks. It's a huge gamble, but I think that if the Raiders do that, it's definitely for a player worth doing that for. Jaden Daniels would be just the perfect pick. And then the number 2 person that I would want would be Michael Penix Jr. His swagger and overall confidence is, I think, second to none in this draft in terms of the quarterbacks. He literally was rapping about making a comeback in the conference championship game, I believe, against Oregon. And I think that's something that should definitely be touched upon here when analyzing his draft stock. I think that it's the most realistic, I would say, in terms of like, having a wish list. I think that while Jaden Daniels would be the ideal scenario, Michael Penix would be the more realistic one. You wouldn't have to give up your future, like as I said before. You would still have your first and second round picks and everyone else. You could then use those other picks to build around him. They need an offensive tackle. Maybe go up and get Joe Alt. I know you guys are thinking about going and getting him. So if he's not there, we can go after Talis Fuaga, I believe, from Oregon State.
Yep.
He's someone that I really like. Yeah. So I think that the number one biggest issue would be to pick a quarterback, and then the number two would be to address the problem at cornerback. We have Nate Hobbs and we have Jack Jones. Jack Jones, of course, he had some trouble last year with a gun charge. And who else would be a better team to pick him up than the classic Silver and Black Raiders? He does have a history with Antonio Pierce, and I think that's partly one of the big reasons why he went after him. First off, I think that Antonio Pierce loves his former Arizona State players. He coached Jaden Daniels and Brandon Ayuk in college, and so I'm not saying anything about that, but that would be crazy to trade up for Jaden Daniels and then somehow have him play with Jack Jones, who was also at Arizona State, I believe. And then maybe in some weird, scenario, Brandon Ayuk comes to the Raiders. But that's for a different story for sure.
Fair enough.
At first glance, we do have Nate Hobbs and we do have Jack Jones at corner. But looking more into it, Nate Hobbs is more of like a slot corner, and he plays on the inside, and Jack Jones is more on the outside. If we can draft a cornerback in the first round, if we don't end up taking Penix, we can go after, Kenyon Mitchell. He's pretty good, I heard. Kool-Aid McKinstry. Kool-Aid McKinstry. Is that actually his first name, Kool-Aid, or is that just a nickname? Do you know?
That's his first name.
His first name is Kool-Aid.
Okay, it's Quincy.
Quincy
with the GA.
Okay,
but
okay.
Yeah.
For a second. Okay, I saw that and I was like, bro, like,
imagine.
That's super interesting. And then last but not least, Tyrion Arnold, his teammate, at Alabama. So one of those guys around what I think would definitely be beneficial for the cornerback position. And number three would be to find Josh Jacobs' replacement or someone who at least compete with the starting job with Zamir White. Some notable players here in the draft at running back are Trey Benson from Florida State. He drew a lot of comparisons to Josh Jacobs, just in size and speed, stuff like that. Blake Corum, hailing from the team that shall not be named, because we have some friends that are Ohio State fans. I can't say the other school, but he's become from there. And then of course we have Braylon Allen. He honestly, that's another person that I think would be ground and pound for the Raiders. He has some good size to him as well. Another Josh Jacobs, kind of comparison. And I think that if we can get him or Trey Benson, I definitely think that we can replace, 8-ball Josh Jacobs. And I think that it is a big loss, of course, losing him at first. But I think we cleared up some cap space. We can do some more in terms of like paying for other players, which is great. But yeah, those are my three keys to having a successful draft. Is just number one, picking a quarterback in the first 1 to 2 rounds, addressing the problem at cornerback. Ideally, you would want to go cornerback 1, maybe for me, and then Penix in the second round if we end up getting him. But I've heard in recent news and stuff that Penix is probably going to be gone after the first round. So, maybe we should take him at 13. If that's the case, I think that, we should do that for sure. Or maybe you could trade down, go after I don't know, pick 20 or whatever and trade, a couple more or 1 or 2 more second round picks. Maybe get a third in there. I don't know. And then last but not least, address the cornerback and then the running back position. So if you do all three of those things, I feel like the Raiders would have a pretty successful draft.
Fair enough. I will say if the Raiders do not get their hands on any of the top 6 quarterbacks in this draft, do you feel comfortable rolling with Minshew and or Aiden O'Connell for 2024?
I would feel way more confident in Gardner Minshew than Aiden O'Connell.
Okay.
I think that it's going to bring a lot of competition to the quarterback room for sure, and I think that's something that they need right now. Aiden O'Connell still has a lot to prove, and Gardner Minshew, being a almost an NFL journeyman, he has a lot to prove as well. And I think that that's what makes football so great is you go out there and compete, and it's the job's up for the taking. So who knows? Michael Penix, if we draft him, he may be a player that might have to sit out the first year, or he might be good enough to play week one. So we got to
Mhm.
see. And I think that's the most exciting part is after the draft, you just kind of reevaluate your team and head into preseason. I can't wait for the NFL season to start, man. I know it like literally just finished, but I think what does it start in August or
Yep.
September? I think.
Correct.
Yeah, and so I'm just ready for it to happen, man. Have you been keeping up with the UFL or UF? What's it called?
Yeah, UFL. And so. I think for me, I was very into it when the social media star destroying or Donald De La Hoya joined the Bahamas, the kicker,
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
African American kicker who's really good. I was following them, and then he got hurt, and then I just lost focus, or I lost my attention to them, to the UFL, kind of fade into the background. So the simple answer is no. I have not been keeping up with them, but from time to time, I do check up on the league because it is the only football we have right now, unfortunately.
Right, for sure, for sure. Yeah, man. So I mean, those are my three takes. What do you think if you were the Raiders, head coach? What would you do in this situation?
I recently did a mock draft with the guys from the Corner Booth podcast. Shout out to those guys. I'll be on with them later today. I did a mock draft. I have the Raiders trading up to number 3. Uh, because part of me feels like the Commanders aren't going Jaden Daniels. There was some tension, as you know, Case. A report came out when Daniels went to meet with the Commanders that he was unhappy because it was not just for him; it was for 3 other quarterbacks along with him. For that particular meeting in Washington, it was May, it was Daniels, it was Penix, and it was McCarthy. All 4 of those guys were in the same building, and there was some reports saying that there was some unhappiness with that. So I do feel like if the Commanders are smart enough, they would stay away from the drama which would leave the Raiders to trade up to 3 to get Daniels with the Patriots. I do feel like New England, they do benefit from this. They do get extra draft capital from the Raiders. And as Boxes 713 from Twitch says, the Raiders need a quarterback. So that's the mindset I put in mind. The Raiders need a guy. And if there was any better time to get a QB or your guy, Case, it's right now. Because you go into next season. Yeah, I asked you about O'Connell and Minshew, and you feel more comfortable with Minshew, but don't you would feel so much better getting a Jaden Daniels with the core you already have right now. Zimmer White isn't that bad of a back. He's your cousin after all. For those of you who know,
That's true.
you
That's
know.
true.
Devontae Adams is still there. He's still a wide receiver number 1. He's still relevant from a fantasy and real life perspective. He's great. Jacoby Myers, wide receiver number 2. Trey Tucker was a decent rookie last season. He could step up and be the wide receiver number 3 for the Raiders. Tight end Michael Mayer, pleasant surprise last season. Offensive line, yeah, it does need some help. So I feel like that's something you might need to address in the second or third round of the draft, especially when you guys lost your O-line coach to, ironically, us, my Giants, and also Jermaine Illuminor, the right tackle, who also went to the Giants. So uh, I understand that, you know, at 13, you're not in the best position to get a top 3 quarterback, but honestly, I would just give up whatever it takes to get Jaden Daniels because he's just a talent that is just worth having on the Raiders. And in case, let's be honest, it fits perfectly. Antonio Pierce, Jaden Daniels, Arizona's Arizona State and everything like that. Like it fits what you guys are trying to do there in Vegas, and it makes you guys an immediate contender for the AFC West because the Chiefs, they may not be as dominant as they were because there's some issues over there with their offense. So the Raiders have a shot to possibly contend, but more likely contend for a wild card spot if they go get Jaden Daniels. And you mentioned the worst case scenario is Michael Penix Jr. and so on and so forth.
Right.
Uh, As Boxes he mentions again, moving up from 13 to 3 is going to be very costly, though. I 100% agree. But honestly, if I'm the Raiders, I just give it. I would give my first this year, my first next year, a third rounder maybe in this year's draft, and then boom, you're pretty much. They should say yes. Hell, throw an Aiden O'Connell in there in the trade too. That way, the Patriots get a quarterback. There you go.
That would be
way,
interesting. Yeah, that would be ideal, I think. I
yeah,
feel like Aiden O'Connell is not someone called him the next Tom Brady. I'm like, just because you're drafted in the 6th round doesn't make you Tom Brady. I'm
exactly.
sorry, but like, that's just not gonna work.
And we've seen like rookie quarterbacks too. They play 1 year and all of a sudden get traded. Like Desmond Ritter, he barely played 2 years with the Falcons. All of a sudden, boom! After 1 year as a starter, traded.
Yeah.
Justin Fields traded. Who else got traded? Sam Howell was he played 2 seasons with Washington. His first year was a starter was last year. All of a sudden, it gets traded away. So there, it doesn't really matter. If you're a 6th round, 5th round pick, you don't play well. Even after 1 year, you could get traded in a heartbeat. And if you're the Raiders, I wouldn't have any heart towards Aiden O'Connell. You got Minshew already. You might as well go get Jaden Daniels and just trade away O'Connell and just there you go, call it a day. Let O'Connell work out with the Patriots, and at least you have your quarterback one of the future that is your for sure guy in Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, absolutely. But like that's the biggest thing though, right? Is like, are you willing to trade away what you would say a future for Jaden Daniels, or is Jaden Daniels the future?
He's the future. He is the future.
So,
has to be the future for sure.
But it's like when you trade up from 13 to 3, it's like it's a huge decision. I feel like messing up that pick is going to get a lot of people fired, and I feel like that's something that is like so crucial. Because imagine being in that room, right? You're like, guys, I know Jaden Daniels is going to be the guy. Because let's be honest, Raiders don't have the best history with drafting LSU quarterbacks.
But this is different in that I do feel like it's just he won the Heisman, and yeah, you could say, okay, so what? Okay, the Heisman means something, that you were the best player in college football. If he didn't win the Heisman, Caleb Williams wouldn't be as relevant as he is right now. Jaden Daniels won the Heisman this past season, played a great year for LSU. He has great scrambling ability. He is the first scrambling quarterback for the Raiders that actually has a chance to do something since the hype around Terrell Pryor.
Ooh, I don't know, man. Yeah, I think that he definitely has some getaway speed for sure, and I think that's exciting. The most exciting part. Do you think that he would compare to Lamar Jackson in that way?
100%.
You think so?
With a chance to be even better.
Really?
With a chance to.
That would be interesting for sure.
Being thrown into a situation that is the Raiders with a very good receiving core, a great coach, solid enough rushing game, because we can't dismiss Alexander Madison like he's some bum. Like he was a starter for Minnesota last year at some point in time. The team isn't that, and defensively, let's not forget, you guys have Max Crosby and friends back there on defense. So this team has a chance to do something. They just need a quarterback to lead the way. And Jaden Daniels is that guy. It's just a matter of, making sure he's protected.
Right.
And as long as you get offensive linemen in this draft, especially in the 2nd round, because really running backs, you're going to get them in the 3rd or 4th round. It's not that stacked of a class to the point where it's like, I got to get this guy.
Yeah.
Corner wise, there's plenty of good corners in the later rounds as well. I would just go quarterback, and I would get a lineman in the 2nd round. And that's what I would do, because you got to protect your guy. And I know Daniels can run, but honestly, just from what we've seen from him, he could be like Lamar Jackson, or honestly, even better. That's what the Raiders are hoping for.
Yeah, I truly hope so, man. Like, like I said before, Raiders don't have the best luck of drafting LSU quarterbacks. You already know who the other person I'm talking about is, right?
Unfortunately, I do.
Old Mr. 400-pounder, Jamarcus Russell.
Hey,
dude, that oh my God. I remember that's 2009, I think, is when I first started watching the Raiders, like understanding. And like I remember being old enough to understand how bad he was, like just as a complete just disappointment. Like just, I mean, quarter pounder with cheese type talent. You know what I mean? Like just straight saturated fat. Like, oh my, it was bad, bro. It was really bad. But I'm glad that that's over. I really hope the LSU quarterbacks have improved
They,
since then. I think that they have, with Joe Burrow. Who else has come out of LSU since then in terms of the quarterback? Probably just Burrow and Jaden Daniels.
those two main guys, yeah. Other than that, man, not much success.
Right,
Um,
for sure.
and look, Boxes makes a great point here. You don't need crazy pass blocking if your quarterback is mobile. Just decent enough linemen to get the job done if you're
Right.
the Raiders. So they have pick 13. Best case scenario is Jaden Daniels. Worst case, you get Michael Penix, and you roll from there. Okay, so good luck to your Raiders. Of course, don't be surprised if my Giants get Michael Penix before you. Just saying.
Ooh, I don't think so, man. I feel like that's the thing is I know Antonio Pierce loves Jaden Daniels. I think that he really wants to go after and get him. I like go out there and get him.
Mhm.
I just don't think it's really feasible because you're going to be giving up a lot just to go get that one person.
Correct.
And I don't know how much. I mean, realistically, you're saying like a first this year, first next year, and a third round pick. I feel like it would be probably 3 first round picks and then maybe like 1 or 2 second round picks too. I
I'm
feel like
backing out then.
that's
No.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's literally like your future. It's like it's a
But
lot
I would give away
to
the two
gamble.
firsts, a third, and O'Connell
Yeah.
because there were reports saying O'Connell. They were saying, oh, if he wasn't this year's draft, he would have been in the first round. That's what I saw.
That's what
So
Aiden
three
O-
first round picks.
wait, oh, Aiden O'Connell would have been a first round pick?
That is correct. If he were in this year's draft, that's what the people said.
But how do you go from being a 6th round pick to being a first round pick?
I think just the way that he played last season, like he wasn't that bad.
I don't know. Like did
I know. It was interesting to see.
yeah. Didn't they say that his numbers were comparable to that of rookie Derek Carr? I think something like that. And like that's the biggest point. We're trying to move away from Derek Carr. So like we don't really need that right now. I feel like maybe we should adapt and go back to a mobile quarterback system.
Uh-huh.
I feel like that would be really exciting for us for sure. If we get Jaden Daniels or even Michael Penix, he's not really slow or anything either. Like he can still get up and go and get out of the pocket. And I think that's really exciting. And I can't wait for 5 o'clock, man. I
Yeah,
know
me too.
it's funny because I literally start work at 5 o'clock. So I'm gonna definitely need you to hit me up with the messages for sure.
I will let you know. I will say one anonymous executive said that, quote, I liked Aiden O'Connell last year. I liked him better the year before when we had a first round grade on him. After what I saw last year, I would have O'Connell worthy of a top 10 pick this year. So I'm just saying to tell the Patriots, he'd be like, hey, we'll give you 2 first rounders plus O'Connell because he should have been a first rounder this year if he were in the draft. So whatever it takes for the Raiders to get their guy in Jaden Daniels, you go get him. It's a cost the Niners 3 picks, 3 firsts to move up from 9 to 3 to get Lance. Well, I'll tell you what, Raiders may do the same thing, but don't be that crazy. If it takes 3 first rounders, like 3 legit first rounders, Casey, this ain't the movie Draft Day, buddy. No, we're not doing this stuff. Either you give him the 2 firsts and a third and O'Connell, or you just wrap it up, call it a day. Go get yourself Michael Penix if he's there at 13, and just don't even give him 3 first. Would I be mad at it? No, but that's the future. You're mortgaging the future.
Yeah, I mean, imagine that offense though. I mean, you
That's
have
true.
Jaden Daniels, you have Devontae Adams.
True.
Um, that's about it. That's about it right now. Actually, no, yeah,
Yeah.
we
Zamir
have a
White, Adams,
we have
Myers, Renfro's gone. So
yeah, we have a tight end in Meyer. I think that has a lot of potential.
he does.
My cousin in the backfield, Zamir White.
Yes, sir.
I feel like he's good, but he's not. I wouldn't say he's like completely ready, just yet. I don't know. I don't really know how he would do handling that workload all by himself, but
Fair
we'll
enough.
see.
Before you go, Case, I gotta ask you because I was looking up Syracuse players in this year's draft, and they're legit, really nobody. So before you go, I gotta know why is there not much talent in the Syracuse department this year in the draft compared to last season per se?
Well, number one, just because of I feel like the recruiting has been absolutely terrible.
Okay.
In recent memories with Dino Babers, he hasn't really been recruiting a lot of a lot of the guys, but also the ACC has just been so competitive that I feel like Syracuse is always underlooked with their players. We do actually have one person who may get drafted,
Okay.
maybe in the 6th or 7th round, and that's Isaiah Johnson, a cornerback.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's what's actually funny though is Isaiah Johnson played at Dartmouth
No
and
way.
was teammates with um, uh,
JJ.
what was it from West? What was his name?
James Jones.
James Jones. Yes. Sorry
Yeah.
about that. Shout out to James Jones. Totally forgot your name, JJ. Yeah, man. So that's exciting to hear. So that's our little connection.
Okay.
I think that if Isaiah Johnson gets drafted, that'll be ideal for sure.
There we go. We'll keep an eye on him, Case. We'll keep an eye on the Raiders, and we'll keep an eye on the draft as a whole. I hope your Raiders get the guy that you guys want.
Yeah, thank you, man.
I hope no matter what happens, you guys are happy with your draft, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully, we'll get you on in the future for sure to discuss more football, especially when the season nears. Once we get a full grasp of the Raiders roster, we will go from there. But Casey, thank you so much as always for hopping on the 3rd and 10 podcast. Where can our viewers and or listeners find you in terms of maybe social media channels or so on and so forth?
Absolutely. Yeah, man. So, I loved making TikTok for everyone. That was like definitely my main platform, before I started working at Chick-fil-A and everything. But when I was doing Colorcast, definitely TikTok was the place to go. So if you want to follow me on TikTok. It's just, I think it's Casey White 422, I believe.
Yep.
There's no underscore or anything like that. But yeah, definitely go check out my my videos. A lot of NFL player bio videos that I totally forgot about. That was fun, man. And obviously, like this show, always good to seeing you, and I can't wait to do the next one for you for sure.
Yes, sir, indeed. And you just turned 25, correct?
25, yeah, man.
Oh boy.
Literally, dude, going through the quarter life crisis right now, bro. Oh my god, I feel so
just
old.
just hang in there, brother. Another year around the sun, and I mean, you're older than pretty much all of us in the friend group. So, at the end of the day, man, we're just grateful to have you. I'm grateful to have you. You've helped out a lot for me throughout the years. So I can't say enough about you. No, can't say enough good things about you, I should say. So I appreciate you hopping on the show once again. Thank you guys for watching and listening to 3rd and 10 podcast. We will be back with you Monday. Me and Brian will discuss the results of the NFL draft and so on and so forth. And catch me on the Corner Booth podcast in about an hour and a half. Until then, we'll see you guys in the next one.